All right, guys. So, Tuah Girl, the crypto scammer, has finally arisen from her multiple-month-long nap, and she has cursed us with her presence once more. So, yesterday she released a podcast, and within an hour, the podcast episode was was deleted. We'll get into why that was deleted in just a second. But on the podcast, she deleted. A lot of people have saved it, so we have a bunch of clips for it. On the podcast she released yesterday, her guest on the show was FaZe Banks. If you're unfamiliar with FaZe Banks, he's the founder and owner of FaZe Clan and the CEO of FaZe Media. They're a group all over, YouTube and Twitch and stuff. They used to do a lot of Call of Duty. Now they just do random stuff. But anyway, FaZe Banks, he's the leader of that. He's been involved in cryptocurrency scams in the past. Coffeezilla covered him back in, I think, like 2020. And since then, I guess they've kind of like smoothed over their relationship a little bit. FaZe Banks has talked with Coffeezilla several times. And FaZe Banks, in this podcast with Haliey Welch, actually asked questions directly from Coffeezilla. So that was actually wild to me because Haliey Welch actually has her lawyer on this podcast. I'll show you some clips in a minute. And I'm surprised that they decided to take any questions from Coffeezilla. That seems like a really bad idea to me. And I actually think a lot of this podcast was actually cut out because the lawyer was probably like, yeah, we can't answer that question. Because there seems to be only like one, maybe two questions that come directly from Coffeezilla through FaZe Banks. So I think that probably several questions he asked, and the lawyer's like, yeah, we can't talk about that. But like I said, let's take a look. Let's go over why the actual podcast was deleted. It was put out yesterday. It was out for about an hour, and then it was taken down. Now, initially, my belief as to why it was taken down was because she actually had a sponsorship in that podcast as well. And many times sponsorships will be like, hey, you got to release it on a specific date. She normally releases her podcast on Tuesdays. So I felt like probably they just released it on the wrong date and they would release it later. That was my initial belief. But that changed when I went to FaZe Banks' Twitter page, and I was able to see that he was very upset with the podcast being deleted. So apparently he had a bunch of stipulations because he doesn't do a lot of podcasts, he doesn't do a lot of interviews. So he had a lot of stipulations with going on the podcast that he had to okay the episode before it was released. And apparently Haliey's team screwed that up, and they didn't give him final say on if it was okay to release it, and they just released it anyway. So let's take a look at his tweet that he put out. He says, "So in an attempt to hear Haliey Welch's side of the crypto scam story, I agreed to do her first podcast back. I had heavy stipulations, including not allowing markets to be manipulated by leaking this episode's existence before a resolution was found. Her team finding a real solution regarding the money she made, where that should go, and what to do with the Hawk project moving forward. These were non-starters, and we were told this episode would only ever see the light of day if we explicitly green-lit it." He then goes on to say, "These incompetent leaked and or insider traded the token. We noticed a random spike in volume on the coin, 2-2, along with random messages asking us if we did the podcast. Very clearly, her team was not as solid as they claimed to be. They completely blew it, and we called the episode off right then and there. Now, today the episode randomly gets leaked, and the price of Hawk is pumping, and they completely fucking fumbled the bag yet again. What a fucking mess. Poor girl. It's a wonder how she found herself in this position in the first place. Now, Haliey Welch, I'm going to speak to you directly and say the exact same thing I said to you on Spaces that night. Fire everybody. Full disclosure, nobody from our team will ever own Hawk tokens. Highly advise anyone follow the story. Stay far away from this, as a majority of the supply is owned by unknown developers." We'll get into the developer later. But there you go. He was obviously very upset with that. I think that's the real reason the podcast was taken down. Someone in her team used that to make more money off of the Hawk Tuah scam. They're like, oh, they're talking about we can make more money off this. Now, FaZe Banks, he released another tweet later clarifying as to why he really went on the podcast. He said, "To be honest, I was just trying to pipe." So there you go, guys. That's why FaZe Banks really went on the podcast. He just wanted to pipe down Haliey Welch. He wanted to see if Haliey's Hawk Tuah skills are really as epic as she leads to believe. So that's why FaZe Banks really went on the podcast there. All right, guys, so with that being said, let's get into some actual clips from the podcast. Like I said, people did save it. I'll have a link below to a Twitter page that has the entire podcast if you want to watch it. But we'll take a close look at just a few of the clips. So the first clip that I want to take a look at is Haliey's apology and her apparently breaking down in tears. So let's take a close look at that.
I want to start by saying thank you to all my true fans and all the people that actually watch my stuff and they keep up with me. We're trying to sort out all the pieces and stuff to like get all this figured out.
Okay, so before we go any further, I just had to say, are there people who are actually true Talk Tuah fans? I feel like she became popular because of a meme joke that she did, talking about spitting on those things, on dicks. It's a BJ joke, right? Are there people who are true fans of Talk Tuah? Please, if you're a true fan, leave a comment below. Be like, I saw her make that meme joke about sloppy BJs, and it really changed my life. Talk Tuah Girl, she brought me out of depression with that one joke, and now I'm a true fan of the Talk Tuah Girl. I feel like she doesn't have any actual true fans. That's just my opinion. But if you are a true fan, leave a comment below. I'd love to know why you are a true fan of the Talk Tuah Girl.
And make everything right. Oh my God, I'm going to cry.
No, don't cry. Don't cry. Don't cry. Everything's going to be good. We're going to be good. And guys, listen, just as a temperature check, I just want to say, the first thing that she said to me off camera was, the minute you DM'd me, I really wish I just texted you and called you. And that speaks to me because of how I was introduced to crypto, and we'll get into that. But I'm also kind of on the back end of things too. Like, their team's been very forthcoming. My team is vetting them the fuck out right now and has been for the last week. Thread Guy and Frank, they're going to be on this episode. It's such a weird blend and mash of worlds. No, don't.
It rolled out.
Don't cry, Haliey. It's fine. It's all going to be okay. Life is going to be okay. Oh, Haliey, no.
Oh, don't do that. Don't stare at me.
No.
You just
You're adorable.
Just give us a minute.
Okay. It's going to be okay.
Oh, that's too bad, guys. So it looks like Talk Tuah Girl almost broke down in tears, and I'm sure we all feel so bad. I'll actually play the world's smallest violin in the music, so we can all feel bad together for Talk Tuah Girl and her. Oh, that's so bad. Now, obviously, I'm joking. Nobody really feels bad for her. She's become a celebrity. Like, whether you agree with it or not. Like, she shouldn't have been famous. In my opinion, she shouldn't have been famous off of one joke. But she is famous now, and she probably has a lot of money. The podcast, they pay her a ton of money. That was put together by Jake Paul, I believe. They're connected to his company. So she's making a ton of money off of this. And really, the only one that got screwed in the Talk Tuah meme coin were her fans, right? And those people, a lot of them lost a lot of money. So nobody really feels bad I hope nobody feels bad for Talk Tuah Girl. Like, she's fine. She has a bunch of money. She wasn't even sued. They sued the developers. They didn't sue her. So, I'm sorry, Haliey, but I really don't think anyone feels bad for you. Nobody wants to see you cry over this.
And the guy that ran the account, he was like, oh, we're going to change like the way everybody thinks of crypto. Crypto's going to be a good place. And I feel really bad for all the people that got affected by it, and it just didn't go the way I planned. And all the money out of this episode is getting donated to all the animals that have been affected by the fires up here.
And I'll match it. Me, Ricky, I'll match it, whatever.
All right, so there you go, guys. It looks like she's going to be donating all the money from this podcast to help the animals affected by the wildfires in California. I don't know how much money they're going to make from the podcast since it was only up for an hour and then it was deleted. Obviously, the sponsor's not going to pay for a video that was only up for an hour, and you're not going to make much in AdSense. So I don't know how much money is actually going to get donated. But they obviously should have donated. If she's going to actually do the right thing and donate, she should donate the money to the people who lost investing in her meme coin. I think I talked about the lawsuit that was against the developers before, and it was only like a few $100,000 that they were asking for, right? She could obviously donate that money. She could give the money to them. The lawsuit's done. Those people that lost a bunch of money, they're happy, they got their money back, and then you can move on. But instead, she's like, no, guys, I'm not going to make them right. But I am going to donate money to animals that are in need, so all the people watching will see that I'm a good person, because I'm donating to the animals. Not to the people I screwed over, but to the animals. So, I'm a good person now. Like me again. So later in the clip, she eventually starts talking about Coffeezilla, which I'm surprised because her lawyer is in the room, and I'm surprised they allowed any talk about Coffeezilla. But let's see what FaZe Banks and Talk Tuah Girl initially have to say about Coffeezilla.
What happened after that?
Well, really, everything went good, and then I noticed, like, the day of the launch, he was, like, a little weird about it, like, he was pacing around on the porch, and I don't know, it just makes you suspicious. And then we finished the podcast that day, and then I ended up going in that room over there to get on that live, where I was, like, scripted to say this, that, and the other, but put it in my own words. So I done that, and then that's when you got on, and you were asking him questions, and he couldn't answer them. So I was like, okay, something's wrong. He can't answer a simple question. And then Coffeezilla got on there. Scary guy, let me tell you. Don't ever want to have a conversation with him.
We're a little bit more charitable than Coffee. I think Coffee kind of has a little bit of disdain for crypto in general. Us, on the other hand, we live and breathe it every day. We want to see crypto succeed. We do it every single day. But Coffee definitely, like, you know what I mean? He's definitely asking the right questions. It's the way that he asks them, maybe, is why you guys can't really, like, find a spot to, like, talk or have, like, any sort of conversation with each other. But we actually did talk to him. We had a conversation with him, and he gave us some broad questions to share and ask you. They're good questions.
Oh, that scares me if they come from him.
No, don't worry about it. Don't be scared.
He's such a scary guy.
Coffee is a little scary, but it's okay.
He means well, though.
This whole thing is a little scary. Yeah, at the end of the day, he wants to he just wants to see people move the right way.
All right, so she calls Coffeezilla that scary guy, and to be honest with you, I've spoken to him. He's really not that scary unless you're scamming someone. Like, he's obviously very upset because that meme coin was a scam. You're scamming people, so, you know, he appears scary to you. If you're not scamming people, he's actually a very, very sweet man. Very, very kind guy, I have to say. So there's no reason to be afraid of Coffeezilla unless you're scamming people. Plain and simple, just don't scam people. Nice, he's a nice guy. All right, so this next part seems like it was the only question that Coffeezilla asked through FaZe Banks. My opinion, there was probably more that was cut that the lawyer didn't want to get into the episode. But this specific question seems like it's directly from Coffeezilla, where he asked, how much did they offer directly to you for this coin beforehand? Money beforehand, percentage of the coin. So let's take a look at that.
Did they offer you money up front? This is what I think the internet always wants to know is, like, did they offer you money up front, part of the tokens? Like, how did that work? Like,
so the deal, I can speak to that. So the deal that she did was like a brand image likeness deal where they paid her $125,000 up front. They were supposed to pay her $200,000 after the launch of the coin within 30 days. She was supposed to have full transparency to tokenomics and everything going on, which they did stay in communication about it, but it just was an ever-evolving game plan, essentially. So back-end participation was to always be mutually agreed, and what they had agreed on in the tokenomics was there was a 10% allocation of the token that would be on a 1-year lock, and then a 3-year drip after that. Of that 10%, half of that was supposed to go to the company that created the project, and half was to go to her. So out of 100% of the token, she would have had 5% at the end. Obviously, she has lawyer, manager, business manager, so even that 5% would have been cut down by over a quarter due to people that she has to pay out on her non-crypto.
All right, so there you go, guys. It looks like she was going to receive a few $100,000 and about 5% of the token supply. Now, I don't believe that she received the full payment, the $200,000 that she was going to receive after the launch, because the launch was so disastrous. So I don't know that she was actually paid all of that. But you know, that was a significant portion of money, the 5% of the token supply that she was going to receive. Now, it's interesting that she, like, when it came to anything involved around the cryptocurrency scam, she didn't answer anything. It was all her lawyer, who was off screen. He didn't want to be on screen. He's like, yeah, this is gonna look bad. I don't want people to see my image. I don't want people to see what I look like. So he was off screen responding as to the full details of what she actually received as payment for this cryptocurrency project. And obviously, you can see they pushed the blame to the other people. They're like, oh, this developer I think they actually talk about this developer. The lawyer and Haliey Welch apparently don't know who the developer of the coin was.
SEC compliance requirements I added into the contract that they would have to do as project manager. And so we continued to inquire all along the process about the tokenomics. It was kind of a shifting narrative and explanation of tokenomics. The most recent tokenomics that were given to us prior to the launch had the pre-sale investors being on a 1 month lock with a 1 year drip after that. That's pretty obvious on chain that didn't happen. But 80% of the supply is still in control. The dev still controls 80%.
And who are they?
I do not know who the dev is. That was never disclosed to us. All I know is it's a gentleman that's...
So see, the problem with the developing side of like projects like these and products like these is they can do whatever the fuck they want, right? Like,
which is a very bad thing. If you're like, obviously you shouldn't launch a meme coin to begin with, but for some reason, if you're going to launch a meme coin, you should at the very least know who the developer of the project is, who's actually creating your coin for you. The fact that you don't know that, this was a shit show, guys. I don't know how to put it any other way. This was an absolute shit show of a meme coin launch, one of the worst ever seen. All right. So there you go. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this disastrous return and then deletion of this podcast. I don't know if it'll ever come back up. Obviously, FaZe Banks did not want this to go out. Apparently, someone on the team made a bunch of money in the meme coin after this released. I don't know. I don't know what'll happen at this point. Haliey's just she's racking up those L's, guys. Those L's one after another. But yeah. Let me know what you think. Will Haliey Welch recover? Will she rise back to her Talk Tuah fame levels before this? Let me know in the comments below.